Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of the Blacklist Season 10, Episode 2, The Whaler, who is ready for a game of cards.
I'm ready for a game of cards. This was a good episode. There was more Reddington in it, so I was a lot happier with that. It was my biggest criticism with that premiere is
Yeah.
he was barely in it, but he was a lot more in it, and we had a lot more of that sort of slick red. We had that beautiful, wonderful, just crazy, tense scene with him and Wu Jing sitting at that poker table. Woo, it was so good. I mean, there were some really good moments in this.
Yeah.
And then there was some questionable wrestler stuff in this where I was just like, man, we really revisiting this whole you can't do this job. You're not good enough for this. You're not ready for this job.
Yeah.
Come on. Sia is MI6. She is a spy and she is not ready for this job. Okay, listen, we're going to talk about that and so much more. But before we do, hit that subscribe button. We are here twice a week, every Sunday with a review, every Tuesday with a preview for the next episode. We have all kinds of other fun stuff going on here at the channel. Snowfall, Bel Air, Survivor, Mandalorian, Succession's coming up, Yellow Jackets. It is a packed month. I think we have 10 shows we're covering here. So hit that subscribe button and follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV.
Okay, I'll start with my central complaint about this episode, because I do think it was good at some points. It just felt like an early season 9 episode to me, where it's like, okay, there's a few good moments, but I'm craving something more. I'm craving, with this being the final season, a larger reveal, like something where, we sort of sitting here being like, oh my gosh, and we have to try to unravel it, and we try to piece together what this theory means when it comes to Reddington's identity, or what this theory means when it comes to Neville Townsend crawling out of the grave, and I want a bigger jaw-dropping moment at this point in the show. And while this episode I think was fun and good, it's just I'm missing that.
Listen, I think we all want more, and we want answers, and we want the good theories for us to jump into, but it is only episode 2. There is this brand new character of Sia that we do need to get to know, and I understand, there's 22 episodes. There is going to be more time for this to really ramp up, and so I'm giving the show the benefit of the doubt. They need to lay the groundwork for Sia. We need to learn more about her. She's going to be a big part of the task force, and they need to lay out the groundwork of Wu Jing and what is going on with him, how he's getting his money from these poker games. He's he's wanted, so he's unable to get his money out of his account, so he has set up this huge elaborate scheme to get people to basically lose at poker games and give him his money, so he's able to just have nice clean money to go and fund this problem that Reddington is up against. And so I'm okay with a little bit of groundwork. However, if we're starting to go into episode 3 and 4 and 5 and we're still just laying groundwork, then I'm going to be like, TikTok, let's go. Get me out of this clown car and let's start actually driving.
The Wu Jing part of it, I think you're right. I think that the setup of this was good, because I think we have all seen, whether it's TV shows or movies, at least 20 examples of person goes undercover at the poker game and tries to defeat the comp. But I think what makes it work is that construct of how Wu Jing is sort of using it. And that's something I haven't quite seen before.
No.
That added a little bit of fun to it. And I do like Sia. 2 episodes in, I feel like she's competent, she's smart, she doesn't feel, and I don't want to just dogpile on Park, but it just felt like that with Park's rage issues, it just constantly felt like, how is she still an FBI agent? How does she still have this job? It's I can see why Sia has this job. I can see why she's so skilled despite being so young.
I really like Sia. They have done a very good job in these 2 episodes of letting me get to know her in a way that I actually really like her. And one of the things that I really like about her is that she will stand up for herself, and she'll do it right away. It won't be something that'll come up, wrestler said what he said. Oh, she's not ready. Why is she being put in and I'm not being put in? It's like, wrestler, you don't need to be put in.
No.
look like an agent, you smell like an agent, you feel like an agent, and you're going to go in there. No one's going to believe you.
Yeah.
However, nobody really knows Sia here. So she's the perfect person to go in. She is a trained spy. She works for MI6. She is fully trained to do this. Oh, you're not ready yet. You don't know what you're getting into. You don't know Reddington. It's just like, we've seen this sort of carousel with wrestler telling people on the task force that they're not ready yet. They're not able to do this yet. But I was really glad that as it was pretty soon after he said that, that she just kind of looked at him and was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm an MI6 agent. Like, what are you talking about? That I'm not prepared? I'm not trained? No, you're not trained. Like, it was nice to see that.
There is something we should patent this called the Donald Wrestler cycle, where we have a good Donald Wrestler episode, then followed by wrestler being incredibly annoying or having a stick up his butt towards other people, then followed by wrestler doing something that is incredibly baffling in the field, where we're like, how do you have this job with your skill set if you're making these dumb decisions? And then we get another good wrestler episode and we kind of convince ourselves that he's worthwhile again.
Okay, let's talk about that photo he took at that. At first I was just like, people are allowed to have cell phones in this underground poker game? Who allowed that? Like, it was really shocking that he had his cell phone, honestly. Like, we've been to, like, tapings of Big Brother and they take my cell phone from me. And, like, you're going to go to some underground poker game and they're going to be like, yeah, cell phones, they're just fine. He's going to make that kind of a, like, he's going to actually take a picture at this thing. It was such a risk that I didn't understand what he was doing. Like, you want to talk about someone who's not ready for this? It's wrestler. That was so bizarre. It was wild.
I'm guessing the writers have not been to many underground poker games. You guys don't know how this works here as a real expert here of underground life or death poker game. No, it's just like that all didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, the Whaler, I guess, is a compelling enough idea, but like insofar as a Blacklister goes, I'm not gonna remember her like longer than maybe like a couple of days from the time that we're recording this. It's just like I feel like she just got totally overshadowed by Wu Jing in this episode.
Wu Jing. Let's talk about my guy, Wu Jing. Oh man, I just love him. And he's been getting better and better as this has been going on. I know it's only 2 episodes, but they have brought him in so slick and so like suave and just, I'm just so excited about him. Like, watching Reddington throughout this episode sort of get to where he needed to get to. You know, we had wrestler got everyone in trouble at this poker game, shockingly taking pictures of people, that Reddington was like, I'm just gonna go in and be like, hi, I'm Raymond Reddington. I want a seat at the table and I want it over there sitting by Wu Jing. And he was given everything that he wanted. He's like, listen, whatever Wu Jing's paying you, here's more than that. And she's like, all right, I'll take these diamonds. I'll go. That's fine. No problem. So having that poker scene was absolutely the highlight of this episode for me. Having Reddington not even look at his cards and Wu Jing being like, you're just going to bet without looking. He's like, the cards are what the cards are. Either I've won or I've lost. I was like, ooh. Look at you. It was so good. It was so good. And I think we all knew he was going to win the hand and whatever, but I think the thing that came out of all of this is that it showed again just how, you know, ruthless Wu Jing can be, because we saw the Whaler try to leave after with the diamonds and he gets in the car and he's like, nah, you're not going anywhere. Now you're dead and I'm going to take your diamonds and we're even. I was just, woo, okay.
Just Spader and Shin Han had like 5 different flexes just throughout like 5 minutes. It's like, you know, Spader's flex are just like waltzing in there, sitting next to like him and Chin, for like actors who, you know, they've only really been around each other for a couple of episodes. They have a really good chemistry with each other, like a really good back and forth. And I think that's going to make it a really magnetic showdown, which is really important given the fact that, you know, Wu Jing in the larger scheme of the Blacklist hasn't been like that important until now. But
Mhm.
if you have an actor who's capable of sort of tackling these scenes, and I think Chin Han is, I
Mhm.
think it's making it feel like there's like legitimate stakes and legitimate danger, because I don't think any of us, at least I don't feel like this, that Wu Jing is going to kill Reddington and that's going to be the end of the show, but you have to make us at least believe that something bad could still happen to him.
I wish that they had put this kind of thought into Wu Jing when we first met him, so
Yeah.
that him coming back now, and now that we're getting more time with him and learning just sort of how slick he is, how dangerous he is,
Yeah.
what he's willing to do, that his network really is this vast and that he is able to kind of convince people to come in, that he has his own charisma and stuff like that. They touched on it so little in the first episode that we got
Yeah.
to see him, that I understand why everyone in, the fandom's kind of like, Wu Jing, really? He's the one that's coming back? And I think it's, Chin Han is an actor on the rise. He's, got some big movies behind him. He's got some big movies coming up as well. And he's just so talented that I'm sure the show knew this about him and was like, we gotta get him for what we can before he's back doing Mortal Kombat.
Let's get into the Agnes storyline, the moral and ethical dilemmas here, because I'm probably about to read way too much into this storyline, so I'm just going to tell you guys all of that in advance. But okay, quick summary. Agnes is being mistreated at
Mhm.
school. Reddington and Cooper clash over how to handle it. Reddington sort of figures out his own kind of solution here to the problem to remove the issue from the equation, if you will. I understand a couple of different ways to look at this, where you can sort of say, okay, Agnes has been through a lot at a very young age. Clearly,
Mhm.
she's lost her mother. She's, been with Scotty. She has dealt with, like, she doesn't need to deal with any more traumatic situations or anything bad happening. Like, I understand the moral argument that Reddington is sort of making in doing this move, but has Reddington learned that much over the years from Liz, where he's basically manipulating Agnes's present and, in some ways, in turn, her future by sort of saying, I'm going to take care of this problem for you. I'm going to dictate that your life goes in a slightly different direction. I don't know if Agnes is ever going to have a response to this. I don't know if Agnes is ever even going to know, but it interests me as a viewer.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that Raymond is looking at this, that he's kind of like, if I can put her in this sort of protective bubble, which is
Yeah,
really what he's been doing. He did that with Liz. It's not surprising that that would be his go-to with Agnes too, to be like,
yeah,
okay, this person is, troubling you at school. I'm going to make it that her parents move away and take her away, and now Agnes can just be happy. And
yeah,
I think for a lot of parents and people that care, you want the children to be happy. You don't want to watch this happening
yeah.
to your kid or any kid at school. It's, really lousy. But on the other hand, I understand where Cooper was coming from too. He's like, listen, I've already raised some kids and I let them, skin their knees and deal with things the way that they're going to deal with them. And it made them able to sort of go forward as adults and be able to, live a good life that way, where they're able to, a problem comes up, they have skills to be able to deal with that problem. Where if you just protect someone all the time, then a trouble comes up and they don't know how to deal with that problem. Then I'm kind of like, okay, I get it. But it feels like there's kind of like can be a middle ground. You can't just let Agnes get, kicked around
Yeah.
every day and Agnes doesn't know how to deal with it. At some point, you need to at least teach her the skills to be able to deal with it on her own.
Reddington, I think, is too desperate to find like some sort of new meaning to his life, because I think at this point, the international capers, the criminal operations, like all that stuff probably feels kind of old hat to him. And, he doesn't have Liz anymore, so he doesn't
Mhm.
find a purpose in doing that. So I think the only thing that seems to give him some element of peace, and we saw that kind of with him just like watching the soccer game at the end of the episode, is just, I'm going to do everything I can for Agnes. I'm going to try to find a way to make her life normal and happy, no matter the circumstances. She doesn't have to know any of the stuff that I'm doing, but I am so desperate to do this. But it's sort of a situation where if you put all of your energy into something, I think
Mhm.
there's such a thing as like too much energy to where you're not making it feel organic anymore. And I don't think Agnes, years down the road, would appreciate this. I think she would be sort of like, I appreciate you trying to help me, but you're not giving me any authority over my own life. Like, and it's a slippery slope. Reddington might do this now, but then Reddington might be like, okay, Bob, I'm hiring you to go to Agnes's school to recruit you to this college to have this major so she could be the exact person I want to be down the road.
Yeah, and the conversation that I expected to hear more of that didn't really happen was that last scene with Cooper and Reddington where, Cooper calls him out and is like, "Oh, they just happened to move. I told you not to get involved in this."
Yeah.
There needed to be more of a line drawn with Cooper where he is like, "Listen, like you can obviously be involved in her life, but you can't do the same thing that you did with Liz. Like, I'm the guardian and you're sort of in and out of her life. You're here for a little while, then you're gone for 6 months, and you're here for a little while, and you're gone for a year. Like, you can't really do that and be a steady sort of parental figure in her life and then make these big decisions. Either you're in or you're out. Like, you got to be around the whole time to have a say or don't. Like, let me raise her. And I expected more of that.
Yeah, I think that's the flaw in the storyline. It's just that I think it didn't have enough of an emotional impact, and that's probably why I'm just sort of here just like reaching for something more that's probably not there.
Yeah, because it's basically been set up now where Cooper's like, I don't like what you did,
Yeah.
but it's probably going to happen again. And then I'm not going to be happy what you
Yeah.
did. Like, he has set up a circle at this point by not really putting his foot down and giving Reddington something to think about, where Reddington really does need to think, like, am I going to be involved in her life more or am I not?
I hope we revisit this in some form before the show ends. We still have a lot to go. Have no worries there. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of our other Blacklist coverage, our previews, our reviews, and we'll see you here next time.